Daren Kalani slammed his office drawer shut so hard the glass vase on his table trembled. His assistant outside the door jumped, but Daren didn't even notice. He stared at the message glowing on his wife's phone, the phone she had carelessly left charging on the sofa that morning. "See you tonight. Same time." No name, just that one line. He read it again, and again. His jaw flexed, his chest tightened. His world, perfect, controlled, curated, felt like it had tilted without warning. Mara had been slipping away from him for months. Late-night outings, sudden errands, nervous smiles, whispered phone calls, and when he asked what was wrong, she hugged him quickly and said, "I'm fine, Daren. Everything's fine." But nothing felt fine now. At 11:46 p.m., she came downstairs dressed in a simple hoodie and jeans. No makeup, no jewelry, not even her wedding ring. She grabbed her car keys without looking at him. "You're heading out?" he asked quietly. She froze for half a second. "Just meeting a friend," she said, forcing a smile. "I won't be long." He nodded, watching her closely. "Drive safe." She left. The door shut, and his entire facade collapsed. He grabbed his keys and followed. No hesitation, no second thought, no regard for pride. He needed answers. Tonight, traffic was thin, the streets quiet. Her small silver car headed out of the upscale district and into the older part of the city. Daren kept his distance, headlights dimmed. Every minute peeled another layer off his calm. "What friend lives out here?" he muttered. What could she possibly be hiding? She turned onto a dimly lit road, lined with cracked buildings. She never came to this part of town. Never. He felt the suspicion rot deeper in his stomach. When she pulled up beside a worn-out apartment block with peeling paint, his heart kicked hard against his ribs. She got out, looked over her shoulder like she was checking to see if anyone followed, then hurried inside. Daren parked far away and waited, breathing through the anger pressing against his ribs. After a few minutes, he stepped out and approached quietly, keeping to the shadows. Voices echoed faintly from inside, one soft, one small. He moved closer. When he reached the half-open door, he froze. A child's voice broke through the air. "Auntie Mara, you came!" A small boy, 7 or 8, ran into her arms. Medium brown skin, bright eyes, same smile as hers. He clung to her neck like she was his whole world. Daren's breath caught. His mind spun. A child? Her child? Was this why she'd been distant? Was she living a double life? His throat tightened so fast it scared him. Inside, she kissed the boy's forehead. "Of course I came, sweetheart. I promised, didn't I?" Hearing her use that tone, the gentle, motherly one he'd never heard directed at anyone else, made his stomach churn. The boy pulled her hand eagerly. "Come and see what I drew." She laughed softly. "Show me." Daren leaned against the wall, shock bending his knees. A child with Mara's exact features, and she had never mentioned him, not once. He felt something crack in his chest. Inside, she helped the boy with homework, cooked noodles for him, straightened his shirt, wiped his face with motherly care. A stack of medical bills sat on a wobbly table. School fee receipts, clothes too small for him. Everything looked lived in, poor, and utterly separate from the billionaire world Mara lived in. Daren whispered to himself, "Who are you, Mara? What have you been hiding from me?" His heart hammered, a mix of betrayal and confusion burning through him. His wife had a secret child, and she'd been choosing this child over him for months. He staggered back, unable to breathe. The betrayal felt sharp, humiliating. He returned to his car and drove home, gripping the steering wheel so tightly his knuckles went white. By the time she came home at 2:14 a.m., he was waiting for her in the dark. She stepped inside quietly, closing the door slowly. When she turned and saw him sitting there, she gasped. "Daren, you scared me." She tried to steady her breath. He didn't blink. "Who is he?" The bag fell from her hand. "Daren!" Her voice broke instantly. "You followed me?" "Who is the boy?" His voice was calm, too calm, the kind that hides fire. Tears layered her eyes immediately. "Please, don't do this tonight." He stood. "I'm not asking again." She covered her mouth with both hands, shaking. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." "Is he yours?" he asked, chest rising and falling sharply. "Is that what you've been hiding from me?" "No!" The word flew out of her mouth. "He's not my son. He's my nephew." Daren blinked, thrown off. "Your nephew?" She collapsed onto the sofa, crying so hard her body trembled. "My sister's son. My only sister." "You told me your sister died years ago," he said. "She did." Her voice broke into pieces. "And the boy has been alone ever since." He stared at her, mind spinning. She continued through sobs. "I've been taking care of him privately. I pay for his school, his food, everything. I visit him at night because that's when his caregiver goes to work. He would be alone otherwise." Daren felt heat drain from his anger, replaced by confusion. "But why hide him? Why not tell me?" he demanded. Her shoulders tightened. "Because your family doesn't like my background, Daren. They never did. They made it clear during our wedding planning. Your mother said." She choked and wiped her tears. "She said my family was a stain, that they were too messy, that they would embarrass you." Daren inhaled sharply. He remembered the tension from his mother. Yes, the snide comments, the little warnings. But he never thought Mara took them to heart. She whispered, "When my sister died, I knew if your family found out about the boy, they might try to send him away or shut him out. I couldn't risk losing him. He's blood, Daren. He's my last connection to her." He sat down slowly, anger cooling into something heavy. "And you hid all this from me?" he asked, still hurt. "I didn't know how to tell you," she whispered. "And you've been so stressed lately. I didn't want you to think I married you for help. I wanted to handle it myself." Silence stretched sharp between them. He rubbed his forehead. "Mara, you should have trusted me." She cried harder. "I was afraid. Afraid of losing him. Afraid of losing you." Daren stood again, overwhelmed. "We'll talk tomorrow," he said, voice low. He walked upstairs. She sat alone, weeping into her hands. Morning sunlight barely touched the curtains when Daren woke up. He hadn't slept. He just stared at the ceiling all night, replaying everything. Her tears, the boy's face, the lies, the fear in her voice, the truth she carried alone. He went downstairs quietly. Mara sat on the sofa, still in yesterday's clothes, her eyes swollen, her fingers nervously twisting a tissue. She glanced up. "Daren, please don't shut me out." He exhaled long and deep. "Get ready. We're going to see him." She blinked. "What?" "You heard me." She studied his face, searching for anger, accusation, anything. But there was only exhaustion, and something else she couldn't name. She nodded slowly. The drive was silent but heavy. Mara clutched her hands tightly, terrified he was only going there to end everything, to cut the boy out, to demand she choose him or her nephew. When they reached the old apartment building, Mara hesitated. "Daren, before we go in, please be gentle. He's been through so much." "I'm not here to hurt him," he said, though his voice cracked slightly. They walked up the narrow stairwell. The door opened before they knocked. The boy, Keon, stood there rubbing his eyes, still sleepy. When he saw Mara, his face lit up instantly. "Auntie, you came again?" Mara smiled softly. "Of course I did." She touched his cheek lovingly. Then Keon noticed Daren behind her. The boy's excitement dimmed into shyness. He stepped half behind Mara. She knelt to the boy's level. "This is someone very special. His name is Daren." Kian whispered. "Hello," barely audible. Daren swallowed hard. The boy was smaller up close, too small. His shirt was neatly washed but old. His shoes were worn down. His eyes carried stories a child shouldn't have. "Hi, Kian," Daren said softly, lowering himself to the boy's height. "I've heard a lot about you." The boy glanced at Mara, uncertain. "Good things?" he asked. Mara nodded quickly. "Good things. Only good things." The boy shyly stepped forward. "Do you want to see my drawing? I made it last night." "Of course," Daren said, though he felt like his whole chest was tightening. Kian ran inside, and they followed him. The apartment was small but tidy. A single sofa, a small table, a small mattress on the floor. No toys except a cheap plastic car missing a wheel. Daren felt the weight of the room sink into him. His wife's nephew lived like this, while his own home had empty guest rooms, larger than this entire flat. Kian proudly held up a drawing, a woman holding a child's hand under a big yellow sun. "This is my mummy, and this is me." Mara's face fell. She touched the paper gently. "It's beautiful, Kian." "And this," he said, pointing to a tall figure standing a little distance away, "is the man I want to be when I grow up. Strong and brave." Daren's throat tightened. "Why is he standing far from you?" he asked quietly. Kian shrugged. "I don't know. He looks busy. Most strong men are busy." The words stabbed something raw inside Daren. He felt Mara glance at him subtly. Kian placed the drawing down and asked, "Are you Auntie Mara's husband?" Daren nodded. Yes, I am." "Oh," the boy nodded thoughtfully. "Then, are you my uncle?" The question hit Daren with unexpected force. Mara looked away quickly, tears gathering again. He knelt again. "If you want me to be," he said gently. Kian's face brightened. "Really?" He threw a small, quick hug around Daren's neck, surprising both adults. The boy pulled back shyly. "Sorry, I've never had an uncle before." Mara turned away, wiping her eyes. Daren swallowed the heavy knot forming in his throat. They stayed a while. Kian talked about school, about how he tried to be brave, about how he didn't want to make Auntie Mara sad, about how sometimes he got scared at night when he was alone. Daren listened, really listened, for the first time. And the anger he held melted into something painfully protective. On the drive back, Mara stared out the window, crying silently. "If you want me to stop seeing him, I will," she whispered. "Just say the word. I'll go with whatever you decide." Daren slowed the car. "Mara, look at me." She turned, her eyes full of fear and brokenness. "I would never tell you to abandon that child," he said. "Never. Not after seeing him." She covered her face, sobbing with relief. "But you hurt me," he continued softly. "You should have trusted me. You should have told me." I know, she whispered. "I was scared, Daren. Your family." "My family is not the law," he cut in quietly. "And if they have a problem with that boy, they can take it up with me." She stared at him, stunned. He added, "I'm angry, but I'm not walking away. I just need time. And we need honesty. No more secrets. Not from you. Not from me." When they got home, Daren went straight to his study. He opened his laptop and began filling out forms. School transfer inquiries, healthcare sponsorship, guardianship consultations. But he wasn't sure how to phrase the email asking for legal guidance without sounding emotional. A few hours later, Mara peeked in. "Daren, what are you doing?" "Looking at better schools," he said, "and a better place for him to live." Her hand flew to her mouth. Tears started again, falling fast. "Daren, I didn't expect." He stood, walked to her, and gently pulled her into his chest. She melted instantly, sobbing against him. He whispered into her hair, "No more running to that apartment alone. No more carrying the burden alone. If he's part of your life, he's part of mine too." She clung tighter. "I love you. I love you so much." He stroked her back slowly. "Then trust me. That's all I ask." Over the next few weeks, things shifted. Quietly, softly. Daren arranged for Kian's caregiver to move into a better apartment paid anonymously. He began visiting Kian, bringing him books, a football, puzzles, things the boy had never had. Kian slowly warmed up, laughing more, clinging to both of them like he'd finally found a home. One evening, during dinner, Kian asked, "Uncle Daren, can I stay with you and Auntie Mara someday? Just sometimes?" Daren almost choked on his food. Mara stared at him with wide, hopeful eyes. He looked at the boy and said softly, "You can stay with us whenever you want." Kian grinned so widely it lit the entire room. And in that moment, Daren realized something. The child he once suspected had become the child he couldn't imagine losing. Weeks later, their home felt different, warmer, fuller. Kian's laughter filled the halls. Mara's joy returned. And Daren found himself reading bedtime stories, fixing toy cars, teaching football tricks. One night, as Kian slept, curled up on their sofa after watching cartoons, Mara whispered, "Thank you for choosing us." Daren pulled her close. "Thank you for trusting me." She kissed his cheek. "So, are we okay?" He thought for a moment, then nodded. "We're better than okay. We're building something real." She smiled against his shoulder. As the screen fades, the narrator's voice returns. If he hadn't followed her that night, he would have never discovered the truth. Not betrayal, not deceit, but family. Sometimes what looks like a secret is really a sacrifice, and the people who fear losing us are often the ones fighting silently to keep us whole. Fade to black. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more stories like this. Your support helps us keep creating.